So we did discuss a lot about the AI. We talked about the idea, the principles, how the models that we are using are made, how we can use the tools, or what tools to use, what advantage they give. We looked at the marketing side of things. But there is one question that you could actually see through all the presentations. And everyone here was mentioning the risks. And now I would like to invite you to the last segment of overcoming the doubts about the AI. The AI is a powerful platform to build many different tools. But with that possibility also comes the responsibility. And that's what Joanna Brasset and Tiara Cavados will be talking about. So please welcome them with clapping your hands. And here's for Tiara.
Thank you. Right. It's a pleasure to be here. We've heard some fantastic presentations, and we really hope we can inspire you with ours as well. We would like to invite you on our mission. Our mission is to create an inclusive, fair, and equitable future. You can do that in many different ways, but you can do that also with AI. So I would like to introduce myself. I'm Joanna Brasset, the CEO and founder of global research agency Into. I'm born and bred here in Silesia, so I'm very pleased to be here, but lived in many countries across my life. And I would like to introduce you the real star of the day, Tiara. Tiara flew all the way from Brazil a few days ago to be here on stage for you. We're both researchers, we're both designers, we're both early adopters of AI, and we're real enthusiasts, so it's a pleasure. I'm especially excited because we will be launching here for the first time in front of you our new framework for equitable AI. We've done a project over the last months. We have been doing research, and we actually designed best practice principles. And I believe us here, entrepreneurs, business owners, creative thinkers and innovators, we actually have the power to lead the way towards a fairer future with the AI. So let's get going. First of all, to give you context, I would like to tell you what I care about in my business and how I am taking steps towards inclusivity and fairness in innovation. So we are a qualitative research agency, and we have a uniquely local approach to global innovation. I have researchers all around the world in over 50 countries who are on the ground conducting research about, for example, UX design, about new opportunities for business growth for global businesses. And this is really very important because this means equity in innovation. Why that is, because we're giving access to our clients, such as Uber or Miro or WhatsApp, to participants all around the world in a very efficient but high-quality way. So it's a bit like a mincer, meat mincer. Whatever you put in, you get out. So if you put in voices from around the world into your innovation and into your decision-taking, then you will start making decisions for a global level innovation and launch. So let's get started, and let's get started about AI here. Here, Mo Gaudat, in his fantastic book, which is called Scary Smart, which I really recommend, he said, at its infancy, AI is being assigned the mission of selling, spying, killing, and gambling. It's a strong statement, but it's true. We're just calling it differently. We're calling it advertising, we're calling it recommendations, we're calling it defense and investment. So it's currently, we're using AI in this way already. But because we are enthusiastic about innovation and AI, I am wondering, how can we really change the trajectory of such a statement? So let's be a bit more open and also more egalitarian to AI. Technology is neither good nor bad, nor is it neutral. So consider fire. It can warm you, it can cook, we can cook food with it, but at the same time it can have devastating destruction. The same with nuclear fusion. It means clean energy, but it also means destruction. So AI technology is exactly the same. It has possibilities to go into both directions, be both at the same time, and we, the producers and the consumers of AI, and especially us innovators and creative thinkers, can take these decisions and make informed choices which directions we want to take AI. So let's take an example of Midjourney and focus on one of the risks that AI has, and this is about the bias, which many of us have already mentioned in this conference. Midjourney is an image generator AI image generator that is tapping into a huge database of images and text. This database has been actually created by us, users, humans, and Midjourney is reflecting back what we have put into the vast database. So let's do an experiment. If you prompt Midjourney, a lawyer presenting a case before a jury, this is what Midjourney thinks a lawyer is, believes and sees in the vast database. It's a white male. You might think, what's the problem? It's a bit sexist, but, let's continue. Okay, another prompt. If you ask Midjourney to represent a Polish person, this is what we get. Who is Polish here? And I wonder who can identify themselves with this, because I can't. We have some beautiful young women here and old men. So are they from the last century? Are they farmers? They look all very sad. You know what? Is the internet full of sad Polish people that Midjourney is kind of, bringing it back? Or is it somebody sitting by our corner shop in a drunk way? In Polish you would say, jest to żul, który siedzi pod żabką. Well, and then the next example, an American person. Well, Midjourney is presenting us this, vibrancy and confidence. Youth. So you can really see that what AI is doing is, one is it can be exaggerating, amplifying biases that we already have. So, it's a rather risky road to go, because this can lead to discrimination, for example. Another example let's move away from images and briefly on ChatGPT. ChatGPT has a political bias. So here's an example from the last American elections, where ChatGPT has commented and represented left-wing candidates in a more positive light. So obviously this has influenced, or could have influenced, the elections. And I also wonder how ChatGPT has influenced our Polish elections just a week ago as well. Last example, facial recognition technology. We all know it from opening our phones, from paying in shops with our phones. This technology is also used by the police for identifying criminals. In America, very widely spread, and we have many cases where individuals have been not correctly identified and therefore arrested. But it happens that they were all, these badly identified individuals were all black. So again, discrimination coming from AI. Okay. So AI adoption, and here, this conference is a very good evidence for this, is moving very, very fast. I'm opening my computer in the morning, using my Googles and Zooms and Otters and Grammarly, and it's like everything has been touched with a magic wand. Oh, now you have AI assisted. Everything started to be AI assisted. And we're all, especially in business, hungry to get more of this, because we can see such a huge opportunity in this. So this is a fantastic statement here from Google X. We are adopting AI like a suicidal drug addict that knows she's at risk at losing her life to an eminent dose, but continues just to do the same. This is what we're doing, this is what I'm doing, we're just going for it. But I want us to pause for a second. Just breathe, and let's become more conscious how we're consuming, what we're consuming, and what we're producing. And now Tiara will present our equitable AI best practices in order for us to take a better direction and trajectory and lead the right way.
Thank you. Thank you, Joanna. And well, let's start talking about what is equitable AI after all. Well, first of all, what is equitable for me might not be equitable for you, meaning that there is no single definition about what equitable AI actually means. However, in general terms, equitable AI is about developing, using, applying artificial intelligence in order to promote fairness, justice, and inclusivity. So one group is not undermined by other. And how can we achieve that? Well, this is the question we have been raising at Studio Into for a while now. And for that, we have heard experts from academia, from industry experts as well. Also, we've heard users from AI, that have been using AI tools from the Global South. And we have launched quantitative surveys that have already reached over 20 countries in order to understand what are these best practices and how can we approach equitable AI in our lives. And well, the first results of our study shows that, well, most users, actually over 90% of users, already value equitable AI principles such as transparency, fairness, diversity, AI workforce, etc. So they do value these principles. However, most of them cannot see these principles applied into the AI tools they are already using. So we have a huge gap here, which also means huge opportunities to understand best practices in order to tackle it. So what are these best practices? What have we found out until now? Well, first best practices, one of the core ones, is accessibility. One really interesting quote is, "The future is already here, but it's not equally distributed." So access is the first step towards equitable AI. And I know accessibility is a broad term. So how can we ensure that it is accessible throughout, across every level? Starting by socioeconomic, how can we ensure that AI tools are accessible throughout socioeconomic status? Well, adaptable pricing models is what our experts and our users have been telling us over and over again, meaning probably AI tools should have different prices depending on the location you're in. They should have different prices if you're a student. They should have different prices, well, if you are from underprivileged communities. So having adaptable pricing models is extremely important so AI tools can be more accessible. Secondly, we need to tackle also the people with disabilities, take them into account while designing new AI systems and evolving the AI systems we already have. So having inclusive design, meaning, for example, have text in images so people can better understand them, if they can really see them very well. Or we can have voice recognition systems that can tell them what is actually happening, so people with disabilities can actually access these tools. And thirdly, we should tackle not only us nerds, AI nerds, we should cater to a wide and very levels of techie savviness. So having increasing capacity development tools, such as built-in tutorials, video tutorials that cater to individuals with varying levels of digital literacy is also important. And accessibility is not only important for underserved communities, it's actually important to everybody, because since AI systems learn from our data, if we have more diverse communities using them, we will have more diverse data. More diverse data means more diverse outputs. So accessibility is at the core of equitable AI. Secondly is transparency. There is no way we can ensure that AI systems are fair and just if we cannot understand them, if users can't understand the technology behind them. So AI tools and us should make sure that users can actually understand them. So having simplified tech explanations, it's extremely useful in this case. Also, having open codes, it's also mandatory, so other developers can check the code, check the algorithms, and provide feedback. Open data, it's also important. We should be able to access them. They should be available so we can tweak them and capture biases even before they become widespread. So transparency is the second best practice I would like to highlight. The third one is diverse participation. We should have diverse AI workforces in order to develop tools that are that cater to diverse users. If not, it's almost impossible to bring everybody's perspectives into place. And also, having constant user experience research with diversity focus. And this can be as simple as selecting users from diverse communities and applying UX research and developing the AI designs according to their feedbacks. So feedback loops here are pivotal because they need to be extremely accessible to everybody. And the fourth best practice is data control, meaning users should not only have access to their data, but they should be able to control it, to delete it, to modify it, to sell it if they want to. And for that, we should have readily available consent mechanisms so us, users, can consent into sharing this type of data, understanding what the AI systems are doing with our data or not, so we can have control over it. And of course, data control leads to trust, because I understand what I'm sharing, I understand what the tool is doing with it, and with that, we can also have better AI systems, since we can have, well, more people engaging in it and trusting it. And finally, but not less important, is output monitoring. So we should continuously track how AI systems are working, how people are using them. Because if not, we might end up with less creativity, more productivity, but less creativity. And in order to track these biases, there's no way around. We should keep going with research, research, research. And it's important to highlight that these best practices, so accessibility, transparency, diverse participation, data control, and output monitoring, they do not work by themselves. They work together. They are all interconnected. And they are extremely important for us to, provide equitable AI systems, not only for us, but also for next generations. And how can we look into these principles and actually apply them into our daily lives, our daily businesses? I'll lead to Joanna again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up with some practical guidelines, with how all of us can start tapping into these best practices. So, the first action is for those in the audience who are business owners, startup owners, innovators, entrepreneurs. So, treat the AI that you're starting to use within your company like you would treat a potential new employee. So really consider, I'm sure you wouldn't like to employ a sexist, a racist, or a homophobic, for example. So do consider, do your research, consider, Mid-Journey, we have seen has a huge gender bias. So if you do choose to use them, like we choose to use them within our company, treat them then as interns, like very young employees, because they need to be guided, they need to be trained, and in that way you can see the potential, but it's not there yet. So for startups developing AIs, for the developers amongst us here is an action. Adapt the equitable AI approach and lead the way, basically. Consider those 5 steps when you are developing. And if you're working within a company that does not care about fairness and equity, I would propose that you leave the company and find a new one, because there are many companies who do care. And here's an action for us, for ourselves, and for my team. We are in the process to develop a specialist AI UX research methodology. So imagine you're going to a doctor, to a general practitioner who can generally check out your illnesses. And that's how we're researching in comparison UX in general. But if you want to do a specific research on AI UX, check user cases, check potential opportunities, then it's as if you're going to a pediatrician, for example. It's a much more specific genre within the medicine, and a much more specific genre within within research or UX research as well. So we're developing this in order for us, when we work with our clients, we will integrate those 5 best practices in our research, and we will take that lens in order to go into the better direction. So let's finish our talk with a great quote from ChatGPT. ChatGPT said this, AI that is not fair isn't advanced, it's regressive. So please do keep that in mind, and please try to be advanced, not regressive. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we've heard a lot about the rules, responsibilities, about how to be aware of the problems. Right now, I'm thinking that our models that look at our financial data, they might have go wrong and try to do a side business. Because we are not really looking into those things responsibly. And it gives me an idea. But also, with the AI adoption, there comes a much more to-the-ground problem, which is legal stuff. How can you look at the AI? What are the legal issues that we can find? This will be presented to us by Agnieszka Hajo-Zibańska from B2R law firm. Please welcome her on stage.
Good morning, and thank you for having me here. Looks like I will be the only one using notes, but I hope it would help in giving you what best I have for you. I'll just have a few thoughts regarding the legal landscape of AI, and we will start with definitions. Definitely, we've got a huge hype for the AI, and whenever I looked at my LinkedIn, what I see is lots and lots of articles. There are books, there are special issues of magazines, technical magazines, legal magazines. We really got lots of it. And in many of them, the IT people, the technicians, the sociologists try to give us the definition of AI. But if we look at the AI Act, to which I will get back later, the advanced regulation that is going to cover the framework of AI within European Union, we will not find the definition of AI there. We will have definition of AI systems that's defined very broadly by using words as shareware, based on logic, things like this, but we will not have the definition of the AI. And at first, I was surprised. Why not? We are going to have at least 3 huge legal acts in the EU. That would be EU AI Act, AI Liability Directive, and then some sectoral things. But we do not have the definition of AI. And then sort of revelation happened. We do not have the definition, legal definition of AI as it is, because at the moment, we are not sure what should be there. You know that lawyers are strange. We are. Apart from being fun killers in every deal and every wherever we happen to be, we do like precise wordings. We do like every word, every colon, every semicolon to matter. And if we try to define something that at the moment is not ready to be legally defined, we can screw it up. And in fact, we did. Some time ago, we tried, we as a regulator, tried to define who should fall into category of national payment institutions. These are the huge institutions that more or less intercede in our payments. So they should be huge, they should use lots of our money, get our payments, and they should be regulated. But the definition was so broad that it basically covered every Pat the Postman that takes your money for your Allegro package. And that's a problem. Imagine every single Pat the Postman, every single DHL courier we all love, that has to register with KNF, with our financial authority. Well, that's what definition gave us. The definition was way too broad. Result, the courier firms sort of united and they went to the supervisor for the authentic explanation. And they got it because it was ridiculous for Pat the Postman to be registered with KNF as national payment institution. But it was what the definition gave us. And I believe that's why we are a bit reluctant in giving at the moment the very precise definition of AI. At the moment, we just look at what will happen, what shows, and then maybe in time we will be able to give the precise definition that AI possibly should have. So what now? Now we do have lots of AI everywhere, like in my phone, in my watch, in your watch, everywhere we've got these AI-assisted things. Maybe some of you do have a very retro watches and you don't have it, lucky you. We can try to use existing legal concepts to describe AI, and that's what we do at the moment because we have no better choice. And again, more than 100 years ago, when the first cars appeared, the German people decided that for the first stage they don't need definition of a car because from the point of civil law, car is quite similar to the horse. So they said, okay, for the actions of car, we will use the legal consequences of using a horse. And that's exactly what they did in Bürgerliches Gesetzbuch. It was the end of 19th century. Maybe this horse approach can help us at the moment. So now we are sort of in the intra stage. We don't have the very clear law now. We try to use what we have. Sometimes it doesn't work that well. Our cars don't have feet, they have wheels, and that's more or less the same with AI-based enterprises, AI-based coding. And the last question of this slide is how to be prepared instead of chasing the rabbit. And I think that in EU, that is what we try to do. The European Union is the first among the big players to try to put some legal framework into the AI. And these frames are being created for a bit less than a decade. The work already started like 5 years ago with some working papers, basically on liability, because that's where we could have problems. We could have problems based on what we saw for example, what we saw in the last presentation of Jana and Tirao. They showed us bias, they showed us unfair profiling that could lead to consequences in real life outside of our iPhones and iPads. So the EU concentrates at the moment on like 3 areas. One of them would be fundamental rights, and it would be more or less AI Act. On liability, non-contractual liability, because if we put something into the contract, that's a bit different regime. And on some sectoral specific legislation where it is needed. And when we look at the AI Act described as the consequences of using AI and the obligations related to using AI by its creators, by its trainers, and by its users towards mostly the consumers, based on risk. I guess you all know what Skynet is. Is there anybody who hasn't seen the Terminator? I know the first movie is 40 years old, but please, you have seen it, right? The evil artificial intelligence that decides to eliminate all human beings. So that's we sometimes do have in mind when thinking about controlling or not controlling artificial intelligence. I mean, we do like the tool. The tool is very nice. It creates us text, it creates us images, whatever it does to the images, and we saw it as well. But in the end, we all do fear of Skynet a bit. And when you read the AI Act, you may feel just the very traces of this fear, because the whole AI Act is based on levels of risk, or as they say it, levels of safety, mostly focusing in relations toward the individuals. That's not the Asian, Chinese approach when they look at the groups of people as a whole. That's why they could accept scoring, things like that, things we would never accept as Western people. But in the EU, we focus on individuals, we look at the individuals. There is the first or rather fourth level of risk that is clearly unacceptable. Imagine AI-developed toys that suggest your kid to jump out of the window. That's the clear threat. That's forbidden. End of story. You cannot produce things like that. And this is because these AI tools, AI way of communication, can be way more persuasive, especially to the young ones, than the old-fashioned toys, for example. We've got all these toys connected with clips on YouTube that suggested young people to do crazy things. This could be way more stronger, and that's why it's just unacceptable. The second level is high risk. High risk goes together with AI used for critical infrastructure such as transport, electricity. It doesn't have to do with defense straightly, but with critical infrastructure that's important for us as a whole. But that would also be scoring. That would be things connected with safety. That would be things connected with employment. And you may think, what may go wrong with employment? Well, profiling based on CV may go very wrong. Imagine that you hire and your AI tool tells you not to employ women of certain age because they might have kids that might get sick. Therefore, they are not as productive employees as would be male of the same age because it's customary that the mother stays with the child at home. Doesn't sound like unfair profiling? To me as a mother, yes, it does. Even if my kids do happen to cough or whatever, be sick. So in case of high risk artificial intelligence, we can use it, but we do have certain set of obligations. We will have certain set of obligations because that's not law yet, but it will be soon. We do have to make risk assessment. We do have to check what we programmed, what we taught, what we trained. We have to carefully choose learning databases. And we have to be able to explain why we used this and not that database. That's exactly what we've heard on the last presentation. It is very important, crucial even, how we train the AI. Then we have to have traceable access. If somebody uses the high-risk AI, we as owners of the enterprise should be able to present who did it. More or less the same as with access to personal data. If we do process personal data, we should be able to show who has access to it and when. Then we would have to have documentations. That's where lawyers are more happy than usually, because we would have to co-create it with IT guys. We would have to give to people the adequate information. I'll get back to it. And we would have to have human oversight over what the AI does. In other words, we would have to be able to turn to a human being and challenge, for example, the decision of the AI. And that's one of the crucial elements, to have this human supervision. And just for a moment, to adequate information. We would have to be able to explain to end users or even to customers what the AI does and why. At the moment, I'm not sure if it's possible to give people both information that's understandable and information that is proper, that is enough precise for them to really understand what is going on. In the age of digital dementia, most of the people don't understand how electricity works. So I'm not quite sure how we are going to explain to the AI. And then we'd have these low levels of risk, limited risk, like with things built in video games or with chats, and no risk. In the case of limited risk, we just have to tell the customer that the AI is used, for example, in a chat box. With no risk, there are virtually no obligations, because the obligation may come from a different source. And getting back once again to the definition, as you could see, the landscape in terms of technical things change rapidly. That's why the AI Act is constructed in such a way. It's not based on hard definition, it's based on explaining through various risks. Because at the moment, it looks to the regulator, to the legislator, that this could serve through time. It will be able to be usable in a few years' time, and if we would have just a very strong technical-based definition, this definition could be false, outdated, whatever, within a year, 2 years, 5 years. So it looks that this might work better. And when we think of Skynet again, can we control the AI? And when you think about it, you may want to challenge the word control. Because we do, in a way, control the AI through the data we feed the algorithms, through the prompts we form to get the outcome we want, and also through filters and systems. When you, for example, look at ChatGPT, it's got built-in filters. It means that the ChatGPT would not give you instructions on how to construct a nuclear bomb, how to hide the body of your neighbor, things like that. You will not get it. Plus, remember, when you do this search, that the big data are being searched for keywords, so next time you may meet not only your friendly policeman from next door, but something more. So please do not try to ask internet how to build a nuclear bomb. That's really not the safest approach, even for you. And the last thing I would like to show you and I would like to discuss with you is us being anthropocentric. We are humans, right? Were we dogs, we would be canicentric. But we are humans, and when we developed the law some few thousand years ago, we thought about it as being centered around human and the genius of human mind. Now we do have the intelligence that in some way might be nearly human, but it's artificial, it's non-human. That's why we do have a problem to wrap around concepts, human-centered concepts, and put them into use for AI. Let's take IP rights as just an example. We've got Midjourney here, like 20 minutes ago, and a year or two ago, maybe 2 years ago, there was a try to say that what Midjourney created should be protected by IP rights. And this motion was dismissed based on saying that artificial intelligence cannot create with human genius, basically. There were lots of legalese, and it's a bit too late to use legalese in front of decent people. So it was just a motion that the AI, being non-human, cannot use the human invention. There are some who try to explain that, okay, AI as it is not human, but somebody gives it instructions, somebody creates prompts, somebody in the end gives us the frames for what AI creates, and this might be treated as IP protected. The discussion is still on, and I believe we will be discussing some more, because you know that lawyers love discussing. But at the moment, it looks like the prevailing opinion is that what AI create falls into public domain. So it might be wise to try to track and to record the human involvement, just in case you really need something protected, maybe even patented in some cases, so that you would be able to present this human genius in action in order to protect it. And when something is done using the AI, we may have to ask, who's liable for failures? Who's liable for damages? Who would be liable if something goes really wrong? And you may think minor things, you may think bigger things like profiling, discrimination, you may think very big things like automotive industry and these autonomous cars, which I believe drive better than the average human driver, but still, if somebody got killed by this sort of car, I believe it will cover first lines in half of the world. At the moment, EU works on the sort of liability rules, which is in fact complicated because every nation within the EU has slightly different liability rules. So at the moment, at the EU level, we only have the very short maybe, very little of general interpretation. And if the liability directive comes into force, it would suggest the change of burden of proof in most cases related to use of the AI. Why? Because for the customer, it is very complicated to prove anything AI related. With one exception, for high-risk AI, which is level 3 AI, if they present to the public, if they are transparent enough in explaining how the technology, how the algorithms work, it is possible to send the burden of proof back to the customer. That's sort of the prime for being very, very transparent. And of course, we can also think of what as AI as, let's say, board member. Why not? The AI algorithms may make better decision, better risk assessment than an average human being. It's possible, sure. At the moment, it's not possible in most countries for the AI to become board member, but please bear in mind that for analysis, for assessment, for preparing recommendations, AI is already heavily in use. And as human beings, human minds are lazy, and that's one of the universal truths about human beings, I think that many companies rely on AI suggestions way, way more than we think they are. Just because they don't have Terminatrix in the board doesn't mean that they are not using AI heavily. As for where we are now, we may think of ourselves as in the race towards legal stability, and you may think at the moment everything is fluid and nothing is really clear because we don't have AI Act yet. We don't have AI Liability Directive yet. We don't have sectoral regulations yet. So you may think that we are in some sort of legal abyss, but we are not. Because do bear in mind that AI is not a separate universe. It's not a separate creation that would be covered only by legal acts with AI in name. Whenever you think about any tool, any enterprise that uses AI, you may fall into general rules not labeled by AI. For example, when you think about analyzing data, about profiling, you don't need a separate act because you do have GDPR. We all know GDPR, we all fear GDPR, we all tried to implement it 5 years ago, right? Some of you may still be traumatized. I am. So whenever you touch personal data, you touch GDPR and you don't need AI Act. So for that, we are not in the abyss. We are in the labyrinth. And we do have to try to go in the right direction and not get knocked off by anything that may happen in between. But please do bear in mind, AI is not a separate universe. AI is just a tool. So all the rules that we know or don't know yet do apply. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for the presentation. It is clear to me now that all the problems we have created for the AI to solve would be just to erase the humans from the equation. And I'm very afraid that if my model up here come to that conclusion, that all the other generative models could come to the same conclusion. So we probably need this legislation more than ever. But also, we need a human-centric design that was mentioned, especially in terms of the cities, because cities are also places where we will be implementing the AI in order to help us be a better citizens or live a more comfortable life. So how this can happen? What about smart cities? I've heard that a city can be only as smart as people who live inside them, but I'm not sure. I'm not the specialist. We will welcome on stage Łukasz Żółciak from Katowice City Council, who will explain to us whatever it means to have a smart city. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I think you need some activation. So raise your hands who thinks this presentation would be boring. Because it's from public officer. Okay. You failed my joke because I was going to say that I'm going to prove you wrong. So, first of all, when we talk about the using AI, using algorithms, using machine learning in smart city, we have to define smart city. So we have our first question, what is definition of smart city? Because there are a lot of definitions, academic definitions, practical definition, etc. Probably a lot of you think that smart city is something like that. So technologies connected more or less good, collecting some data, and we can have a beauty contest between the cities, who has more, who has better, who has more reliable technologies. But from my perspective, from my point of view, and from point of view of my experience working in the city of Katowice, the city which experienced the transformation, it's not exactly like that. So we have a road to go. Let's say that is me, because I'm a smart city officer in Katowice City Council. This joke is old, but every time it's funny. It's me 100 burgers before. Okay, it was funny. So, in the University of Silesia, we have an institute, or maybe not an institute, a thing which is called Metropolitan and Urban Processes Observatory. they looked how Katowice developed, how Silesia developed because of transformation from heavy industry to the city, which can offer a place good to have here IT companies, deep tech companies, technological companies, business services sector companies, etc. And we designed, or maybe not designed, we diagnosed that we had 3 steps. First is just modernization of the city. So the smart plan, how to cooperate with some external actors to modernize the city, to upgrade the city, to make the city space more, how to say it diplomatically, more useful to live. So the example is we modernized the terrain after one of the coal mines with private investors, and we have since 2006 Silesia City Center, the shopping mall. We make a new function for the old localization because the function changed. The second step is social participation in creating smart city, or maybe not a smart city, but well-transformed city. The one of examples is you are sitting here. We have next on us International Congress Center. There are transformation examples which we created as a city with cooperation, of course, with Voivodeship as an example of social participation. Because former mayor of Katowice asked people what they want to do. The example of smart city policy, part of the policy is also participatory budget, for example. So this is smart city as well. And we are now going to the third step. The third step is to consider city, a smart city, as a learning city. What I mean by learning city? I mean that we have to learn some data. We have to learn how to read the data, how to correlate the data, and how to optimize our decisions. So back to this picture, back to this vision of smart city, we have to collect data, but this is a tool we can use to create smart city policies. Because the smart city is not the city full of technologies, but the city which can be managed smarter. Okay, I said good quality data, and it's very common use. Everybody says that we need good quality data, good quality. What is data? What is good quality data? In general, there are data which can be related to others' data for making better decisions, for making better plans, for making better, for optimize our decisions, and or make most probable conclusions, as I said on the slide. So right now I want to share with you one of our pilot projects, because we decided to go into cooperation with Machine Learning Cathedral from Economical University in Katowice. What problem we had? The planning processes are not only the processes about saying on the maps where we can build the office buildings, where we can build the houses, where we can build the parks or something like that. We need to consider a lot of factors. For example, vegetation. And it looks like to make best decision basing on vegetation. So we need to know what terrain is wet, what terrain is dry, how high the trees are, etc. We have to correlate 5 different types of data, 5 different types of maps. In general, it took, because we've changed it, it took a lot of time to render it, to have some solution, to have some optimized data to know what terrain vegetation is. So we invented, or maybe that's not a good word, but we work on that, and we have algorithm which we can put the map, we can make the segmentation, and we can know exactly data we want because we can correlate the data. So that's the first example, and there's the first challenge about having good quality data. The challenge is knowledge and mindset of the authorities, but also knowledge and mindset of public officers, because they have to know, they have to be aware what kind of data they have and how can they analyze it. Okay, and now the controversial one question, because every time when I talk about the Katowice intelligent monitoring and analysis system, there is one or two people who ask me, is this like in China? Are you going to judge me? Do you judge me already? Or something like that? No. So I want to know you. I want to share another example how we use AI since 2016 in our monitoring and analysis system. Excuse me that the slide is in Polish, because this is ready graphic which I used. But in general, the system works like that. We have camera point with teletechnical box. The camera monitors some specific city area. The camera can catch some events like fight, like unconscious people, like violations in traffic, because we have, for example, license plate recognition system. Our algorithm analyzes it, and by that we have a decision. So the dispositor in our Center of Crisis Management can act quicker, can act better. And you have to notice, first of all, that not the AI makes decision. It only helps to make decision to the person which is responsible to send the help, or to send the police, or to send the patrol, or to use it as evidence in some criminal process. Okay, this is the data flow. It's just, I put that for your curiosity, because I don't want to go into the technical issues. But based on this data flow, I want to say another one thing which is very, very important in creating smart city policies and using AI in that. The cybersecurity. The data must be secure, especially that public has own regulations, and we have to follow the regulations, because a lot of data we collect are sensitive data. So we have to protect it. We can't let to any exploit in our system, in our projects, in our solutions, which can be useful for the hackers, for example, to steal the data. So in general, once again, how it works. We have teletechnical box. We have our dedicated municipal optic fiber network, and we have our data center when the algorithm works. So what to do to secure it? We have our own system based on the Elliot system projected by company from Katowice, by Cyberus Labs, and it allows us to encrypt everything which is received by the camera, and decrypt it in the critical management center. So your data are safe. How to show it to the people? We have to educate, we have to explain, we have to say how it works. It's all, because we have to change the mindset, and we have to explain that this is for their safety, because the safety increased. We have recognized a lot of accidents, we have a lot, we have recognized a lot of incidents, etc. So in general, that works like this. I promise to be quick because it's quite late. Everybody waiting for the networking, everybody waiting for the after party. So I leave you with the challenges we have, because I was supposed to say a little bit about the challenges. That was title of my presentation. So I leave you with this. I leave you with contact to me if you have some questions about the smart city policies in Katowice. Thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed the conference.
Okay, this was the last presentation, so I just want to thank you guys for coming. And what I want to say is that during this conference, I think the guests have killed like a dozen startups in my mind, that's for sure. Also, I learned a lot about how to adopt the AI tools, solutions, not only by profit, but also by something more. Risk assessment, reliability, but also by what it is or what it means to be a human, because it's very important. These tools are for us. We are not for those tools. So that said, I would like to welcome on stage Kuba, who will just extend our gratitude to our partners, and thank you a lot again for joining. Kuba, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much. It is nice to see that after 9 hours of networking and education, some still of you are here. I understand that you are exhausted, me too. But first of all, I would like to thank you very much that you are the part of this conference, because without you, it wouldn't be a success like this. In spite of you, I also would like to say big thanks for all my team who are supporting me during this during the organization of this event, but also to I can't change the slide. So, okay, I have to do it without slides. I want to say big thanks to our partners. I was talking about at the very beginning. So. Kubrick as the startup house supporting startups on its stage of growth, and our mother company. Silesian Startup Foundation, where I am the president, but also Silesian Voivodeship and in Silesia, so the business part of our voivodeship. But not only them, also partners supporting us with money, with speakers like Łukasz. So Miasto Katowice, City of Katowice, sorry. I'm exhausted, believe me. Rava Inc., so our city incubator for startups. Heroes Agency, it is why you are here, because they made our communication happen. And also Midlify, so the matchmaking application I believe you used during the conference to meet other people. And last thing, our supportive partners, there was a lot of them, but you can see who it was. It's Accenture, PRG, it's a Praga AI hub, because Praga aspirates to be the biggest AI hub in Europe. BIVAP, our local event. I want to invite you for the 23rd of November to Katowice, to SARP, where we today meet at after party. There will be another networking meeting without a lot of people, because it's dedicated for about 100 people. And still, Benchy IT, C Startup Network, Cloudina, DBA, Escola, and Head to Band. And okay. Okay, believe me, there is a lot of them. So, you can see the partners. Once more, very thanks to you, very thanks to our partners, to my team, and see you at the next edition, because we decided to make the second edition next year. So I believe that after this edition, you also decide to visit us next year. And let's be in touch. See you soon. Thank you.